As we look to the future and the potential of Web3, as we look to the future and the potential of Web3, we need to onboard millions of new users. Let's learn the role that education has to play in onboarding those users. We have brought together leaders of the industry tackling the challenge of onboarding and educating in different ways. We have Sheila Marcelo of Metacrafters, Kevin Huang of Acad Arena, Nico Del Pino of Ola GG, and Jack Lim of Naz Company. The discussion will be led by Celeste Rodriguez of YGG Pilipinas.
All right, Philippine Web3 Festival. Welcome to day 2. I hope you're having a good time. There's a few people in here who came in to the Philippines for the first time. Welcome to the Philippines. I think we have taken center stage in the world of gaming, and Axie, for example, has become one of the fastest way for people to develop and enter the crypto world. We have onboarded a lot of people, but right now we're trying to be interested in what will it take to onboard the next million. In my panel are amazing people, and I'm going to give them their time to introduce themselves. So, Nico?
Thank you. Well, great to be here. Thanks for having us. I'm Nico Del Pino, originally from Argentina, born and raised in Argentina. I got into crypto early on, primarily driven by the reality of the local economy in Argentina, and that allowed me an exit strategy through crypto. And for the last couple of years, I've been operating full-time in DeFi, so using in my opinion, what's the best financial industry in the world out there. And I also run the Ola GG, we're the sub-DAO of YGG for Latin America and the Hispanic markets. And I believe through those rails and through gaming, we're envisioning the mass adoption of crypto.
Amazing. So Nico here is in the center of both DeFi and GameFi, Ola GG and Liquid Meta. Now next is someone I really look up to. Her name is Sheila Marcelo.
Thanks, Celeste. Hi, everyone. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I can say I'm born and raised and I'm very proud Filipina. Happy to be here in the Philippines. Yes, super excited. So founded a company called Proof of Learn. In fact, it was with co-Filipinos, Gabby Dizon and Nix Noleto, in November of last year, where we brainstormed a concept called Learn and Earn. I was a venture partner at a private equity firm, which I'm still am, called NEA. And at that meeting, Gabby turned to me and said, Sheila, who's going to run this really great idea, Learn and Earn, that we ended up calling Proof of Learn? I said, I think I'm going to come out of sabbatical and retirement because I think this is such a big idea to help the world. Nico and I were just discussing this prior to this meeting on how it can really help developed countries and advance people through a Learn and Earn program. And so our very first project, Gabby and Nix introduced me to Kevin Yang, my co-founder. You probably are familiar with his last name because his family owns McDonald's, and he should really be running McDo. But he is actually spending time as an incredible co-founder, computer science from Stanford and masters in AI. And we've co-founded this company to train the next million Web 2 devs into Web 3. So super excited to be here. And our goal is to really a go-to-market in the Philippines. This morning, we announced our first college that we are launching with, that iPeople owns, called the National Teachers College. And we spoke to 400 students this morning. So super excited to be back in the Philippines to really advance Learn and Earn. Thank you.
Amazing. I was actually at the launch of MetaCraft. This was the best evenings of my life. And we're talking about learning. In our panel is Jack Lim from NAS Academy or NAS Company.
Hi, Celeste. Nice to see you again. And Sheila, that was an amazing launch. I also went to the MetaCrafters launch. Hi, everyone. I'm Jack. I'm currently leading the Philippines business of NAS Company. So if you're wondering what does NAS Company do and what am I doing here, I've always been passionate about educating people, about giving individuals access to education. And Web3 is something that really needs that, right? Because Web3 as a principle allows people to own a piece of the internet, right? And while we are not a Web3 company, we are not a Web2 company, we are a community learning company, we are here to help onboard millions of people into the space. We started our journey just last year when we created our first ever video on crypto with NAS Daily, with MetaCoven. We did this fellowship called the Metaverse Fellowship, where we took 100 content creators who were interested in crypto, and we were teaching these people how to spread the gospel through content, Metaverse was very generous by giving these people, Celeste, would you believe it, 1 ETH per month for 6 months for all these creators just to make content about crypto. And then the rest was history. We came across multiple creators. Some of them are from YGG, so Celeste is part of our Metaversity program. Kuku has onboarded thousands of people into Web3, not just through his own content, but also through his class on NAS Academy before, how to become an Axie Infinity trainer. So we want to continue to do this. That's why we've partnered with multiple people, and one of them is YGG with Web3 Metaversity, where we are looking at building the Web3 university for careers of the future, which ties in very closely what Sheila's doing, right? Which is more on developers. For us, we're looking at more NFT artists, traders, marketers. You can't be a marketer for a crypto company without understanding the basic principles, the fundamentals, and what's happening around it. So yeah, now we're building communities here and there, and we look at all of you to help us onboard the next million into Web3.
Thank you. Amazing introduction, Jack. Last but not the least, since we're talking about communities, you're about to meet Kevin Huang, who is super interested in communities of gamers, more specifically for the next generation or the college students. Kevin?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Kevin. Been in gaming and esports for about 8 years now. I was part of Microsoft Education, and then I helped launch the education department at Twitch, the live streaming platform. So I had a really cool job where I got to fly around the world, and I was setting up esports schools at schools like University of California, Irvine, UCLA, and all around the world. And so I left last year to start Acatarina to really bring students together around somewhere they spend a lot of time on already, which is gaming, and they're already in school. So we bring organized play to high schools and universities. We built a network of over 1,000 universities in the last year, and so everyone here is really excited to be here and share a little bit about our world and what we're up to.
All right, thank you. Now, I'm super excited to ask my question. My first question is this. In any kind of adoption, you would see that it all starts with a community. You know, it all starts with a small group of people that keeps getting larger. And now that we've come to this point, what do you think is the future of guilds, Nico?
What's the future of guilds? That's a good one. So I think guilds this year for guilds it's been an evolution, right? The scholarship model is pretty much how we started the year, onboarding the community into crypto by providing an NFT. And a lot happened this year, right? Not only on prices, but on platforms, and here we are. And I think guilds, in my opinion, are the platform that will support the community that's participating in Web3. Gaming makes a lot of sense to be the first wave of massive adoption, basically because playing games is fun, so it doesn't feel like a job. But in the end, you're participating of this new digital economy, let's call it the Web3 economy. And through games directly or through a gamification experience, you're participating through it and it's fun. And you're all of a sudden owning tokens, and the tokens are tradable, so they have some secondary value, right? So you can make an earnings out of it, right? So I think guilds, the model is one that will evolve in order to support that community and see what the community needs. As Sheila was mentioning, we're pretty much heavily on gaming right now, but we know that education is a big part of our mission and what we need to do in order to support what the community needs in the long run in order to be sustainable and to have a pleasant experience in Web3. So I think the Guilds is basically that platform that provides the community with the tools and resources that they need in order to thrive in this environment.
Absolutely fantastic. I like the fact when you said that in games, it feels fun. It doesn't feel like a job. And Sheila here has worked so hard on the fact that making learning fun with MetaCrafters.
Yeah, so maybe just to add on the question on guilds and also what we're trying to do. One of the things that guilds, I think, stands for, and it's been tested through time, that there's sort of an apprentice model around guilds, that it's about support, it's about community, and it's about attracting a diverse group of people to help them along. You have beginners, you have intermediate, and you have advanced. That's the whole definition of a guild, is to really support each other through very traditional guilds. And I'm pleased to have seen that it's applied through gaming, and as Nico said, there's a nice onboarding to something difficult, because if you can kind of do it through games and something fun, it feels tangible for people. But I've heard Gabby say sort of like the future of what he saw, and what really inspired me to come into this is the future of where the virtual world is going, around the future of work, that yes, gaming is fun and there's a sense of a way to onboard with ease. And so it kind of makes sense that the next phase, I think, of a wave of where guilds can really play an important role is in education and to advance, because it's onboarding into games, and it's now how do you use gamification to actually make learning interesting now that you're talking to guilds, and we're talking in partnership with guilds. YGG was our first partner. And then also moving to not only learning for fun, but also learning to land a job. So what we say at MetaCrafters is that, you learn and earn and you land Web3 jobs. Because at the end of the day, you also want to make sure that there's a pay it forward and there's overall outcomes in general. Now, I know guilds aren't necessarily, I know Kevin and I, he's a good friend of mine, I'm also an advisor to Katarina, aren't always necessarily scalable for all kinds of concepts, but guilds is certainly one way to kind of build communities.
Yeah, I would say, I think at the end of the day, guilds are digital, like people that come together over the internet. And I think that's really special to see that evolve even further. I think when I was at Twitch, I got to see millions of creators just putting themselves out there on the internet and creating their own corner of the internet for themselves and the communities that they are involved with. And I think there's really amazing ways around extending value back to the communities, like working with creators, working with all these different digital ecosystems. For us, like we're thinking that because you spend so much time at school, and most of gaming is anonymous, and so what if we bring people IRL in real life together, and somewhere you spend like 20 plus years of your life in school, so. And we know that everyone plays like League of Legends and Valorant and whatever titles that you guys all play, and that makes it. You use gaming as like that universal language that brings people together, similar to sports. And so, whatever the game content will be, people will come together if the game depends on how well the game resonates. And so that's what I'm really looking forward to, is like extending our culture and bridging that culture between the physical and the digital. And I feel like schools are falling behind in the last like 30 years in tracking what their kids are doing online. Like they have no knowledge outside of an email address. I don't use my alumni email. Like they still spam me every week for like donations, right? And there's not really much engagement after you graduate. And so I feel like all this energy, all this talent coming into the space is really exciting to start connecting the dots together.
Thank you. And for Jack, what is NAS company doing right now to help out with this kind of new kind of educating people in a fun way?
Yeah, I think gaming is one way of making things fun, right? That's why when we did our first ever crypto class in the academy, we decided to start with Axie Infinity, right? Because it is something that people understand. It is something that resonates with people. But on top of playing games, what I've realized is that when people learn, they love the output, they love what they're able to do, but they are in love with the community, right? Because these are people who understand what they're going through, understand their challenges, understand that here is my objective, therefore we can work together. And we've been seeing that in NAS company. We have alumni starting companies together. We have people building their first NFT project with their classmates. At Metaversity, we have students who were volunteering for the live sessions, right? I remember, Celeste, there was one session where we were commenting on crypto news together with one of the students because he was like, I want to raise my hand. I want to comment on the latest news on crypto with my instructors, right? So I like what he said to me when he volunteered. It's like, Metaversity is a space where we feel safe. It's a space where we build community. So why not make it our home and build it together? So that to me is amazing. We didn't ask him to do that. And communities, education, this sense of belongingness makes people adopt faster. So yeah.
I think I really love the idea of sense of belongingness, because crypto by itself can be a very intimidating concept when you think about it and you try to go at it alone. Can I do a quick survey with the crowd? Is that fine? How many here are into crypto? Expect everyone to be. Okay. How many are women? How many are runners? Like athletes? Good. How many are writers? So why do you think, like, all the other communities you belong to don't go to crypto yet? Why are there so many Web2 people not into Web3? What do you think is the barrier, Nico, for people from Web2 to go into Web3?
Yeah. I think awareness and education is a big component. We operate in Latin America, and the realities across the different markets, countries is quite different. The adoption that Axie Infinity had in places like Venezuela and Argentina was quite organic and pretty much popular, let's say. And there are other markets like Mexico, for example, with demographics that are very comparable, where it didn't really take off in the same way, right? And I think it's because of awareness of our understanding what's going on. I mean, Web3 is happening so fast, like so quickly. Even the play-to-earn space, the reality today is so different from what it was just a year ago. So it's very hard to catch up, and it's quite intimidating, right, to participate. Maybe that's where the guilds also play a role, making things fun and easy. For the most part, before gaming, let's say the adoption of crypto, in my opinion, was quite restrictive initially. Let's say exchanges drove the first wave of adoption. And for you to participate in an exchange or to be able to buy crypto, first you have to be wealthy enough to transfer like an extra funds into an exchange and try to invest in a very volatile asset. So that's very limited for most of the population. And then you had to be educated in order to understand how it works and why you were doing that. So you had to have time available to go through all that. Gaming solves a lot of these pain points because first it's easy to get in, it's fun, it's free for the most part. You have a community supporting or a guild that will support you. And I think that infrastructure is just getting started. I mean, everything that we are doing, the model is basically 1 or 2 years old. It's just getting started. A lot of what we do has to do with promotion, with awareness, with letting the audience know that this is possible, this is happening, and how to participate. Yeah, this is my second time in the Philippines. The first one was 5 years ago, actually, when I met Gabby on a random conference on crypto, and we had a good chat. But we were the only two weird guys that were talking about crypto back then. And now watching how the adoption is taking off in the Philippines, it's fascinating. But the Philippines is a huge market, and this is a tiny community in the end, right? So the potential for growth is still so large.
That is true. So you kind of said it's like research, risk appetite, and lack of education. Kevin, how do you feel college students are facing this kind of problem, and how do you think they could come into the dark side, which is the crypto right now?
For me, I honestly think if you remove the speculative nature of crypto, and it's too mixed with money, gaming culture has never cared this much about money in terms of the audience. We're here to be entertained, to consume, to be fans of these things, and we don't mind spending money when it comes to supporting the things that we care about. And if you make it too much about money, it's gonna scare people away, given that you're mixing passion with something financially right away. I think that's just why you see a lot of revolts from gamers all over the world. So I think that's the part where it makes it not palatable, I would say. So yeah.
Jack?
I will answer your question by surveying the audience, right?
I love that.
Okay. Raise your hand if you have read the Bitcoin white paper. Raise your hand.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's actually
It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah. I was expecting a lot less hands. Raise your hand if you consume content in any social media channel. No? No?
Of course.
Of course,
If you're not
right?
raising your hand, why?
Why? The next question is, how many of you have played games online, on your phone, or on your computer? Raise your hand.
Oh,
Right.
wow. Oh,
And
We are in a
that
good
gives you your
conference.
answer, right? The Bitcoin white paper was too intimidating.
oh yes.
It was too boring that people who really wanted to learn crypto were the ones who read it, right? But gaming, content, these things, and even community are easier for us to understand, right? So if we want to bring in Web2 people, get them curious, we have to nurture the audience, because at this point, people who are interested in crypto are probably already in crypto, right? We have over 3 million people in this country who have some form of crypto, right? So the next wave needs things like playing esports in university, right? playing games to learn development, being part of guilds and being part of communities to learn and get interested in the space. So yeah.
That was such a good answer, Jack. Last but not the least, woman mentor of mine, Sheila.
Yeah, I probably build on everybody's sort of what they consider barriers of Web2 people getting into crypto. I think, Jack, you're kind of talking about the approachability of it, so that there's a clarity. Oftentimes, I describe crypto to people that it is not one unilateral definition, because there's a myth or bias to think that crypto represents just the currency and the coin and the money part of it that Kevin talked about, that their approach to it is, in assumptions, is that it's all unscrupulous, illegal, it's all bad, right? I actually really believe that the Bitcoin white paper or the Ethereum white paper or the Solana white paper, you know, the technology has a lot of promise for good. Let me emphasize that. The technology has a lot of promise for good. So it's really understanding the underlying technology and understanding the power of it. Now, it can be intimidating for people because not everyone's a technologist, not necessarily everyone's a builder, which is one of the reasons in our mission at Proof of Learn and MetaCrafters is to understand that the power of the technology for builders and empowering them to create will help more millions and if not billions of people by using the power of this technology. I fundamentally really believe that because the ethos, there's the word crypto, there's the word blockchain, and there's the word of Web3. The ethos of Web3 is community, it's ownership, it's sharing, it's accessibility, and it's transparency. So unpacking all those words for simplicity and removing all the jargon so that it's not dependent on the Bitcoin white paper to explain it. It's not a male-dominated defined industry, which of course makes sense because 80% of developers are men. They are the majority of who created and invented crypto. Do we believe Nakamoto, who founded it, is probably a man, maybe a woman, Leia, maybe? You know, who knows who he is? But the reality is, if it's defined by a specific gender, it then automatically starts to create a language and a culture that may seem exclusive. But what it actually stands for is inclusivity. So we need to break down those difficult languages. We need to break down gender barriers and make this truly accessible. And I really believe that. Once I read the gospel, I don't mean to be religious. I'm not proselytizing religion. And I went into the rabbit hole. I believe in this technology, and it will be used for good.
Thank you, Sheila. That was amazing. I'm starting to believe.
Can I add
Go
a
ahead.
few
Yes,
thoughts?
please, Nico.
Also asking the audience, who's here is a developer?
A developer. Oh, don't be shy.
Congratulations and thank you. And who's a designer?
A designer? We have a few.
A couple, okay. So my opinion is that crypto overall has the best developers in the world, probably already working and busy and developing amazing solutions that are truly making the world a better place. But the designers are not really there, in my opinion. The user experience and the friction is just so
We
terrible.
gotta make it look pretty.
Exactly. So you open your Amazon app, and it's easy to shop around. Now you go into any DeFi exchange or DeFi platform and say, oh my God, this could not be more intimidating. Or even the process of setting your own wallet. I mean, it's pushing people away. And I have friends that they have been trading crypto, if you like, for many years. And when it comes to real Web3 experience, they are just running away from it because they are afraid of either losing the keys or not knowing what to do. So I think that there's a big part of the real adoption coming from designers.
All right, designers, we need you to step up.
Can I just, we actually, in designing MetaCrafters, because it's crafting meta, we launched a MetaCrafters Creator Cup, and 100 teams around the world, we invited designers to craft meta with us and to design It's going to be like Hogwarts, like Harry Potter. There's like the Solanite house. There's the Flow Knights for Flow. There's Avalanchians, Polygonians. You can just go down the line. And so we invited 100 teams of designers. Even though none of them were in crypto, none of them were in Web3, 27 finalists, right? 3 teams won. One of them from the Philippines, Team Zevel. They won thousands of dollars of prizes, but they get to design a modern metaverse on blockchain as designers, so they're also onboarding to Web3. They don't have to understand the technology just yet. They don't even have to trade crypto, right, Kev? Like, they don't. But they're contributing to the shared ownership and ethos of what it stands for. And we're kicking off Flow Night, so visit metacrafters.io and help us design that one too.
Thank you. So this makes me think that to onboard the next million, we need education, community, sense of belongingness, innovation, make it fun, and inclusivity, whether that be through age, gender, or maybe aesthetics, to usher in the next generation. Thank you. Please give a hand to our beautiful panel.
Thank you for being with us, Celeste Rodriguez, Sheila Marcelo, Kevin Huang, Nico Del Pino, and Jack Lim.